tonight's episode, Triangle of Terror.
GearWebsites.com is your source for firearms-based playing cards and books. We also have mugs, shirts, and posters with designs that we've made live. Of course, we have patches. Every Friday is Free Patch Friday. We appreciate your support. Thank you for shopping at GearWebsites.com. Welcome to our second batch of project reviews. We've been using the Fusion 360 software and the Cura Slicer software with our Ender 5 Pro and the Ender 3 printers. We'll be reviewing some of our second batch of projects. Okay, there we go. Welcome everybody. So Number Enough Ammo had asked if I would make one of these fish things, and I'm going to try to do that. So let's open up the, let's bring Sharon in here. Here we go. Screen Sharon is in here, and I'll jump behind her, and we can get started. I'm good. This is the comments, so if you're watching live, you can be part of the show. I'm going to drag this little dealie from StreamYard over somewhere else so that gets in my way all the time. And then we're going to open up a software, a program called Blender. So there's Word or Notepad for like writing letters and words and stuff. And then there's Paint or Photoshop or stuff like that for dealing with images. And now there is this thing called Blender. I don't know why they named it that, but that's for making 3D images and some animations and some interesting stuff. So all I've done is installed it and opened it. I don't have anything. I might have a couple of its optional things turned on, but I don't have anything extra installed to it or anything like that. And this is open source, so it's free software that anybody can use. So if you have a 3D printer, or if you want to do some kind of animation, or if you want to have just interesting introductions to your videos and logos and stuff, then 3D, or this software gives you the ability to add 3D to any of those kind of things, or to all of those kind of things. So nobody gets paid anything to have you download and install Blender. It's an alternative to some of the more expensive ones that cost money. But there's plenty of people out there that support it and create it and add to it. And it updates all the time. It's really interesting software to watch it expand and grow and get more powerful. And there are a lot of people that offer free like video classes and tutorials and explainer things. And then there's tons of stuff you can pay for. I'm too cheap to pay for anything. Plus, once you kind of know stuff, it's easier to learn stuff. So if you already know how to play guitar, you're probably going to learn how to play violin a little faster than somebody who's new. So it's kind of like that. If I picked up a harmonica, it might be a little bit different than a guitar, but I still know how to read notes. So it's sort of like that. I don't bother to pay for classes, and I enjoy learning these things. So what I'll do is go live like this and share the learning experience. All right, so that's an explanation of what we're doing. And then Never Enough Ammo, some channel on YouTube that wanted a dead fish for a project and asked if he knew somebody that could do this kind of stuff. And I'm trying to learn how to do this kind of stuff, so let's dig in. All I've done is launch the software, and then I turned off that splash screen, the initial screen that comes on. We're looking at three things on the screen: this little thing, that other thing, and this cube in the middle. Cube is pretty easy. It's a cube, so I'm going to highlight it and delete it. Then there's this little light thing over here. I'll delete that. And then this thing is a camera. We'll delete that too. Well, let's keep the camera. I'll by undoing it and then undo. We'll get us back those things. Is there some way for me to go to Window and there is a way for me to show my keyboard commands. I'm not going to do that this time, but eventually I'll learn how to turn that on. All right, so I'm trying to learn this software in a different way than I've learned other softwares, in that I'm trying to learn the keyboard commands right off the bat. Normally, I just use a mouse like a regular person and dig around, clicking on stuff on the screen, stuff I can see. But there's another way to use software, especially powerful software, and that's by using the keyboard commands. So you basically sit here with one hand on the keyboard and one hand on a mouse, and together they give you the power to do stuff. Like if I just click my middle mouse button and wiggle, this is what's happening. I'm pivoting. I don't know where I'm pivoting on. But if I hold down the shift key while I click the middle mouse button, I can now move my horizon or whatever that is up and down on the screen. So it's given me different functionality with the mouse click. So anyway, that's why I'm trying to learn the keyboard commands. So I'm doing a Shift A to bring up this menu. And once you bring up that menu, you can click on stuff. So we're going to start with, I guess, a sphere, right? Why not? So we'll start with that sphere. It puts it in the middle of the screen. I guess that's fine. So there's a lot of ways I can address this or jump into this, and I don't know any good way to do it or bad way to do it yet. I'm still learning. So let's just dig in. So now that we got this thing here, I'm in object mode. So I'm gonna hit tab, and that'll take us into an edit mode. All we've got is this basic cylinder or cube, or what is this thing? A globe. It's not a cylinder. What the hell is this? It's a sphere. That's what it is. So I'm going to just jump straight to the top by clicking on that Z there. I'm clicking on like dead center top. I'm going to shift this and pull. Now I'm looking at dead center top right over it. And now I'm going to use a box select, they call it. I'm just going to click and drag on the mouse or using the left mouse button. And I'm going to drag like most of the front things there with what's called a proportional editing. And then I'm going to be moving this stuff. So I'm going to move it on just the one axis, and now see what that does? It moves it from there and makes it a little bit longer. So that's about as long as I want to go, I think. And now I'm going to move down a little bit. Oh, look what happened. So when I box selected, it only selected the top half. That doesn't look like a fish at all. So I'll undo that. And I'll go back up to the top again. This time I'm going to flip it over to wireframe. And I think now when I box select, it'll select everything down the side, see, not just the stuff that's visible from the top. And now I'm going to try doing something a little bit different, actually. So I'm going to go back to the top. I guess I can get out of wireframe. I'm going to unselect. I'm just going to select this one dot over here, just that one little dot at the very vertex or whatever this axis is. And now I am going to move that dot on the x-axis, I guess, by holding down the X, or I guess holding down this arrow. See how that does that with just by moving the one dot and everything just stays similar? Now I'm going to go up here and choose proportional editing, and that's going to drag stuff with it. See, big difference. So I'm going to drag stuff to like there, and now I'm going to do that wireframe, and I'm going to look at it from the top, I should say. And I'll box edit now a bunch of these things, and we're going to stay proportional editing all of these and see how now we're making it look more like a shape, right? I think. Yeah, now it's more like a shape or something. So we're going to go back here and we're going to try doing something similar to this side. And I've not watched any kind of like videos on how to make a fish or anything. So this might be the wrong way to make a fish. I really don't know. All right, so now I need to see where that thing comes out. So I'm going to grab that little dot right there. We'll grab that again. Now coming out of this side, I'm going to go more of like just a pull from one dot and more of a pull going back. Maybe. I'm going to go to here, and now I'm going to box edit a bunch and pull some of that stuff out. Kind of looks like a tadpole, but at least it looks a little bit more like a fish. So now what I think I can do is box edit a bunch of these points. And I'll edit these out. There we go. Now it kind of looks more like a fish. Most of their guts are up here with all their meat, and then they just have some muscle in the back. So they're only up here is where they're fat. Now let's smush this thing a bit. So I'm going to look at it from the straight front here. I don't know how to do this. So highlight this and smush in. That's not going to work. I need to figure out how to do this on both sides. So if I mirror vertices. Oh, that's interesting. It's not what I wanted, though. So I think Y global, Y local, Y global. Let's see what happens. Well, that's interesting. All right, well, that didn't do what I wanted either. All right, so now I don't know how to smash this fish good. So instead of smashing the fish, I'm going to yank on the fish. So I'm going to grab that top one and pull up on it, still using this. Oh, that didn't work. So undo that. I guess I can't just grab on one. So instead, I'll look at it from the side and I'll grab a bunch of these dots. And I'm going to try to make it look more like a sunfish, maybe. Grab some of these dots and a little bit of them. Grab some of these. I'm going to grab some of these and go out like this and down. Really, this is supposed to go on the end of a receiver extension, so it needs to be kind of bulkier at the front end of the fish anyway. I don't know. That doesn't look like that much like a fish, but I don't know what I'm doing. So we're just going to, at some point, stop making this not look like a fish and just keep going. So now we'll pull this little part out. Up a little bit. That's interesting. Up a little bit. Bass are kind of like this. So now it's a bass. All right. I don't know if that makes it look like a fish or not. Let's take a look from here. At least it's not quite as round. Fish don't look like sausages as much. All right, and now how do I draw a fin on here? I think it's easier to just get a fin made. So I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to go back to object mode with a tab. Nope, with a tab. Oh, what did I do there? Why is it shaded so weird? I guess I'll just deal with that. All right, so now I'm going to go back to Shift A, no, Tab to get to edit mode or object mode. And now, oh, 20 bucks. Thanks for that. Appreciate it. Library Garrett threw 20 bucks in here. Much appreciated. Thanks. Oh, is it supposed to be a grouper? Nope. I don't know what kind of fish you wanted. Let's see. How is this how to edit a logo for your YouTube channel? I guess you could do that. I'm just kind of playing, but you can see how you just start from scratch. And in this case, I'm moving around like I'm fiddling with a ball, like if it was a wad of clay or something. But you know, you could definitely do this in different ways. Like there's different methods, and I'm learning, so I'm not doing this in any way that's. I'm not doing it like I'm not following directions or something. I'm just playing right now. I've been watching a lot of tutorials, so I've seen people do amazing stuff. I don't know how to do any of it, so that's what I'm trying to do right now. So, but yeah, you can definitely like import. I've done some other videos where I import the image as a like a logo image and then start to play with it. In this case, I guess I'm starting from scratch with nothing. Smell-o-vision to smell it. Well, the deal is I'm making this in 3-dimensional software. So then when it's all finished, you should be able to take it into like a 3D printer, right? And they'll print it into a 3D printer or print it into existence in real life out of plastic. And then it'll be a hard plastic version of whatever we create here. But then if you were to take that hard plastic version and spray some Pam cooking spray or something on it now, so it's nothing's gonna stick to it, and then pour some liquid silicone all around it, what you end up with is a cavity of the part, right? So now you have the cavity of what a fish would look like. And now you can spray that with some Pam once it's dried out, right? Some cooking spray or something. And then pour some maybe rubber, or what I'm thinking is you know, the kind of stuff they make lures out of, because that, I don't know what kind of rubber that is, but they put smell in there. So you could make this a smelly fish made out of rubber eventually, if it ends up looking like a fish. Right now it looks like some kind of weird robot poop or something. So let's see if we can't make it look more like a fish eventually. So when you click on these this like a little jack spinning in space here, but it gives you a quick way to, I don't know what to call it, like focus on the one, or recenter, I guess, on the one plane. And when you double click it, it'll go to the other side. So you can see both sides of this thing that we're looking at. So I'm on the one side, and I'm going to do a Shift A, which will bring up this thing, and I'm going to create a plane this time, I guess. Uh-oh, it put the plane on the wrong side for me. So I'm going to look around, and I'm going to tell that plane to move by holding down the the G. And G means grab, I guess. And now if I hold the X, it'll only let me move it on the X line. So now I can bring it back to about where I want, and now click, and now I'll R for rotate, and I want to rotate on the X, right? And now I can type in 90, and it goes to the 90 degree, hit enter, and now we have a plane where we wanted it back here. So now I'm going to, still highlighting that plane, I'm going to go to edit mode again by clicking tab, and then this thing called a loop cut, and that is no. So I'll bring that this is an inset, and I didn't want that, so I'll undo it. I'm going to go find out what a loop cut is called. If you highlight over it, it'll tell you space bar, or no, it says, what does it say? Shift. Come on. Shortcut, Shift, space bar, Control R. So Control R will give me this loop cut. When I click and then drag, it lets me put the loop cut where I want it. So I guess I'm going to put it like here for now. And then I'll do Control R again and put it like, where it comes out from the tail there. I'll do down here, do a Control R. Oops, Control R, not Windows R. Didn't I hit enter? Okay, so now I'll Control R on this plane. Come on, Control R. What happened? I guess I lost the... All right, so we're going to call this the fish body. So I quit losing things where I'm at. And then this plane will actually be the tail. All right, so now if I highlight, that plane will be the tail. All right, so if I highlight the tail and then do Control R again, there we go. Get that loop cut, move it to the bottom part of the body. All right, now I can do from this point a bevel, which is a Control B, and then Control B. What do I have to do? I'm not used to doing this bevel. I don't get it. What the hell? All right, Control B, bevel. I don't know. Offset. Why isn't it letting me? What do I do to make the bevel work on a plane? See, I'm not sure even how to control this stupid bevel deal. Control B on that point. All right, fine. I won't try to bevel. So first, I guess I'm going to give the plane some dimension. So we've got the tail. We're going to go to add modifier and bring it into solidify and give it some depth. So, how big the tail is going to be. So that's where it's probably going to be fake because it's a 3D printed thing and not a real fish. A real fish could probably get by with whatever size it needs to be, but a 3D printed thing needs to be big enough to exist. And because of what this project's going to be, I'm guessing the back tail should probably be thicker than thinner. So I'll make it thicker than thinner to begin with. And then what happened is it pulls it from the center, right? So now I need to go to edit mode or maybe object mode, grab that whole thing, which is, it was a flat thing, and then I pulled it into this three-dimensional space, but I only pulled it from the center axis, that x-axis, to the right. So now I'm going to G-grab it and move it on the y-axis so that it's more centered on the fish body, like a tail would be. Okay, so now we moved that. And now when I click it again and do tab to get into edit mode, we can see those. Okay, so these loop cuts ain't really cutting it, I guess. So I'm going to go to the edge select and select that edge. Okay, zoom in and select that edge. This edge. Are you going to let me select this edge, or are we going to have a fight about this? Why don't you let me select this edge? I can select only one edge. What's up with that? That's weird. I wonder why I can't select this other edge. I'm in edit mode and I'm on edge. If I select plane, I guess that's because I created this thing as a plane and I don't know what I'm doing. So I guess I should have created this thing as a rectangle. So what I got here is a square version of a tail, which I was going to fiddle with, but it's not doing what I want. And I don't know how to fiddle with it right. So guess what I'm going to do? Delete and start again. So we're going to go to this side view, and then in object mode, we'll do Alt A, and this time insert a cube again, so that's easier to deal with. Grab on the X axis, so move it over, and it should be, oops, let's put it right about there. It should be centered this way, because that's just the way it works, and then scale on the Y axis, and now we can make this cube into a plane. See, I'm not good at figuring out how these control handles work. Same concept though, a little thicker than it might actually be in real life. And now since it already started on the origin or that axis point, it's all centered up nice. And now when I go to put in, highlight it, go to tab to get back to edit mode, and now do the Shift R for a loop cut. Now it's loop cutting the whole sucker. So there we go. Click, drag to right there, and then click again to cement it. Control R, Control R. How do I get it? There we go. Horizontal, and then select it there. And now another Control R, this time somewhere back like this. And see what happens. So now if I go highlight, we're still on edge select. So I'm going to select that edge that I've been trying to select, go to bevel, which was Control B. Control B, that's easy to remember. Now I can get that bevel the way I wanted. See what I'm trying to do? Now it's a Kirby looking fish tail-ish. It still looks like a robot. One of the things I watched said that I should not try to finish the thing with my first moves, right? Try to just box it in first. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I highlight this, Control B, and what the hell? Why can't I cut that thing like I did the other one? See, I don't know how to wiggle the deal to make it do what I want. So come on, man. Do this. Control B. Oh, see, I'm not doing anything. That's weird. So then to there. All right, fine. So there we got a robot tail fish thing, looking thing. Good to go. What can I do here? I'm going to do a plane select. So now, or face select. I'm selecting that face. And I want to cut a scoop out of there. It's called, I know what it was called. Inset? I don't remember what it was called. There was a thing that could do this, though, and I don't remember what it was. All right, so I'm going to try this knife cut. A little bit different. I haven't done it before. I don't know if I can even do this with it, but I'm going to go to there and then to there, and I think it just happened. So click, and then go back to face select that face, and I'm holding down the shift here to select multiple pieces, and then, oh, I see what happened. It only knifed that one side, see? Dang. So that means I can't do that. But if I knife over here, knife from there to there to there, and then enter, go back to face select and choose face, 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 and then delete faces. Nice. Now I have to go to this edge. No, I got to go to edge select. All right, edge, edge, edge. What am I doing? Edge, edge. Now it's all of a sudden control instead of shift. Select all these edges and then hit F. And then it's, come on, man. I didn't want that. Oh, wait, what did it do? Oh, it didn't do it right. So undo that. So I think it's because I didn't select all the dang edges. So let me select all the dang edges this time. Select, 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 select. Oh, see, it's deselecting. So select. Maybe it's deselecting. I don't know what it's doing. Select. It's probably not as tedious once you know what you're doing with this software, but I don't. So I'm learning. And okay, now I'm going to hit F. Dang it. Did it again. It's something about this side that it doesn't like. It's trying to face something over here. So, oh, I know what it might be. Okay. This line here. So I'm going to try F, or this, and this, and F. Nice. And now I'll do, let's shift this down a little bit. This one, and this one face. Got it. See, software thinks it's so good. You just got to be better than the software. All right, so now we kind of have a tail on the fish. It's like a robot fish. Kind of looks like one of them football things you would throw out back in the day. All right, now let's add another fin or something to this fish, and that'll be, up on top. I think they call that a dorsal fin in the business. So we're gonna go with the old standby, flipping it back to tab, and then going to Shift A, and Shift A, putting in another cube, grab, and this time we're going to move it up on the Z axis. So now it's locked on that Z axis. We'll put it, somewhere like that. And then we're going to S for scale, and scale only on the Y axis. So now we're taking that cube and smushing it back into another fin looking thing. Again, a little thicker than it would be in real life, probably. Like that. All right. Now scale again, this time on the Z axis, and that'll get us, something like that. And then, what do you know, scale on the X axis. So now we got it longer, and now we'll grab on the X axis and grab on the X axis and move it backwards a little bit. All right, and then grab on the Z axis. And normally you wouldn't have to be this, what's going on? Grab on the Z. Normally you wouldn't have to be this worried about it, but I just want to make sure that it isn't all like unsymmetrical, I guess, mirrored, whatever that would be. So I'm going to go back and make sure I'm looking at it from this angle, and I'm going to rotate. I don't know what the thing is for rotate. R, well, that would have been easier. So highlight it, and then this time I can just use this green thing, and I want to get this guy so that it's, like that-ish. Then I'll do grab one more time, and hopefully that didn't screw it up. Okay, good. So now we've got, the majority of that fin where I need it, but now I can go back to edit mode, tab, go down to Control B for bevel. Oh, wow. That's neat. It tried to bevel every single edge. Software is neat, but you got to know what you're doing. So let me go back in here, click on the one thing, then do Control B. There we go. And here's the deal. I do not like that weird angle. So how do I change the angle? Offset? Width? No. Loop slide? What does that mean? Miter outer? Arc? Inner arc? I don't know what any of that means. Spread? It's not changing anything. Face strength? Material index? I don't know what that means. Shape? Oh, so I guess I can fiddle with the numbers here. So put in a 2 and see what happens. Nothing. Segments? Segments is a big one. So segments will make it look more curvy. Oh, look, it's curving the wrong way. So how'd that happen? Probably because of this number? Nope. I don't know how I got it to start curving. Well, I guess a fish can have an inside fin like that, but anyhow, I don't know what I did here, so I'm not really super stoked about that, but I don't know what I'm doing. So let's just try beveling that edge and see what happens. Shift B. You know, that kind of looks like a weird fish thing, actually. So I'm just going to act like I wanted it to be like that and start digging in. So I'm not going to say forever, so I'll just cut a big chunk out of that one and then cut a chunk out of this one. Control B. Oh, nice, 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 nice. See how neat that looks? Boom. All right, go down there and stop already there. That kind of looks like a fish already. I'm going to act like I wanted it to look like that. And now I'm not satisfied with this front end because it looks like a weird mohawk. So how am I going to make the front of this bulge? That's what I want to do. How do I make the front of this bulge a little bit? Oh, I know how to do it, I think. At least I know a way I'm going to try to do it. So we're going to go to Control I, Control R. Put a loop cut in this dude, something like here. Okay, and then bevel off of that loop cut. That didn't do anything. It still didn't do anything. So move. I'm going to move, grab. I'm going to highlight it, grab, and look at what happens. Cool. I don't know what I'm doing, but now that doesn't look like organic, at least. Or, I mean, it looks organic and not like a fish. Cut a little bit off of there, add a few more segments. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's kind of like a fish. Not really, but whatever. Let's act like it looks like a fish. And then I'm going to put a couple more fins down here. Let's see. We are making a fish, or at least I'm playing with some 3D software, and look at a fish. Duncan is saying, I looked at printing some fishing lures. Seems like it should be possible. 3D printing to make a dead fish. Oh, yeah, for sure. There's tons of people that make lures. In fact, I was thinking about doing a couple that I've always wanted to do once I can just take some time to play around with my printer a little bit more. But that's one of the reasons I need to learn how to use some of this software. But yeah, imagine if you were to catch some minnows or something in your lake or in a river or whatever it is your place you fish, and then you make a 3D scan of it ideally, or just some pictures. You bring it into software like this. You mock up something that's, you know, the approximate size or shape and dimensions and proportions and that, and then, you know, do what we're doing. Make it out of plastic, and then use that plastic to make a mold for the rubber. I used to do a website for a guy that made rubber, I don't know, worms and little fish-looking things, crawfish and whatever, and he would make them at his place and sold them online. You know, we built the website for him, and he sold them online. Drag on Baits, it was called, and you know, he had a lot of fun doing it. He just made them that were more specific to the fish in the area down here in Arizona than most of the lures we were getting were made in, like, you know, Kentucky or California or someplace. All right, so I'm going to go back to, I'm on bevel, so I don't know why it's not letting me. That was body. This one will be tail. Oh, because I deleted the word tail before. So now I'm selecting. Why isn't it letting me select the pieces of the tail? I don't know if it's my computer being slow. Okay, no, it's because I don't know enough to move this little deal to wherever it needs to be, I guess. So this one will be fin. And then this one will be tail. So whichever one you put this little square next to is the one that it'll work on, I guess. All right, so whoa, look at what happened here. I'm going to blame Nancy Pelosi for this, but look at what happened. So something happened and I wasn't squared up. And what we ended up with is a fin that's all weird. Look at how weird this fin is. How's that fish supposed to swim? So this is probably cool. Like in reality, this is, makes it look more organic and whatever. I just don't know what I did to create that necessarily. Let's see if we can fix it. So we're in object mode. So I'm going to tab to get back to edit mode. I'm going to highlight fin so that that's what we're clicking on. And I'm going to bring it over here and I'm going to box select everything up front here and see what happens. Okay, I'm going to put it into this mode and box select just the stuff up front here. Maybe this much stuff up front. Now I'm going to go back to the front, back to the front and grab. And I want to grab in just the Y direction. And that did not do what I wanted. It did bring it back over, but it gave it a little twist, which is fine. We're going to leave the little twist because it'll probably look cool. If anybody asks, we intentionally, because of our skill, added that little twist because that's how fish fins are, and it makes it look more real. But at least now it's centered. So now it looks not like an airplane as much as some kind of a fish with a cool mohawk. This looks like a fish that is into Elvis. All right, so now I'm going to put it back to the side and try to do this stuff squared off again instead of whatever I just did to screw that up. It's all weird looking now. So now we'll create another. I'm going to go back to tab to get back to object mode. I'm going to do a shift A to get this thing up, and I'm going to do a cube. All right, now this time I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to go to the X mode. I'm still on the cube. I'm going to grab. And now I'm going to grab just on the Y-axis and move that guy over here, let's say. Then, here's what I'm doing. I'm going to give it a modifier of mirror modifier, I think it's called. Generate a mirror modifier. And I want it to be a mirror on the Z-axis, not the X-axis, and flip. And mirror the object, and I don't know why it's not doing it, but that's what I expected it to do, and it didn't do it. So why isn't it doing it? Maybe I just have to be done. I don't know how come it's not doing that. Bisect distance? No, that's not it. Mirror. I don't know how come it's not happening. Apply. Oh, it went away. So now I'm going to put back on the mirror modifier. I guess the X-axis is okay. And then we want it to flip on the X-axis. All right. And then if I highlight this and grab and the Y-axis, I said grab on the Y-axis. It's definitely not making another one, so I have no idea why the mirror thing isn't working. So I'll delete it because I don't know how to work it, I guess, and we'll just copy it when I'm all done. So one thing to do is make the thing do a mirror image of whatever you're working on. So I tried to do, and I obviously don't know how to do that. So we're going to go to tab to flip it back to the edit mode. And we'll be scaling this, and this time we'll be scaling it on just the Y-axis, and that'll make it a finish looking fin, or maybe more like a fin looking thing. And then we'll scale it on the Z-axis to bring that edge down a bit. I don't know how big this fin's going to be, like that. And then we'll scale it on the X-axis to be the fin. And then pretty soon we're going to move it, but why don't we go ahead and give it some bevels and stuff first. So now we're going to take that corner and that corner and that corner all at the same time and Control B them. And the heck, why isn't it letting me do anything with that? So I'm going to try again. Control B. Okay, so that's not working. So now I'm going to go down here to bevel. Oh, it is working. Dang it. All right, so undo, I guess. All right, so we went to this corner and that corner and that corner and said Control B. Oh, I see. Weird. Weird and stupid. That's what I'm going to say. So, and enter? Why isn't it cutting the pieces that it acts like it's going to cut? So it's probably because I messed with it before, right? So loop slide, I don't know what that means. Oh no, these are all the same. All right, so done. And now what? Just highlight this, I guess. Well, why didn't it just cut that stuff away? Why didn't it? All right, so obviously I don't know what I'm doing there either. So that's messed up. And dang it. That's weird as hell. So why did it do that, I wonder? Let's try doing it without the 3 corners. I'm just undoing a bunch of times. So I'll just hit the one corner, do a Control B for bevel, and yeah, it's not doing it anymore. So I don't know what I did. Grid fill, cut off. Try that again. Control B. There we go. Now we got a cut off. So obviously I did something by clicking on something before, like a dumbass. I've done that before. I'll do it again. So now I'll highlight the 2 pieces that I was looking for. This edge. Come on, man. This edge. All right. Zoom in a little bit more. This edge and this edge. All right. Now, Control B and... Man, that is so weird. You just have to pull to the right, I guess. And something like that. And why isn't it cutting off? Why is it doing it again? Cut off, face strength. What the hell? Affected, none. Offset. What am I doing wrong here? What's going on? Why isn't it deleting that? I just had it deleted a second ago. Cut off. Weird. So undo, 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 undo. Try just selecting the 1, I guess. And Control B. Huh, it's doing it again. Offset. No. Huh. Clamp, sharp, sharp. Arc. That doesn't have anything to do with anything. Face strength. All. Vertices. Edges. Material index. I wonder what that's supposed to be. I wonder what the default was. Clamp, overlamp, loop slide. I don't know what that means. Mark seams. All right, well, it's obviously not working again. So undo, 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 undo. Why did it work over here, I wonder? Because I did it twice? Makes no sense. So Control B, and yeah, it's being dumb and stupid and not working for me anymore. Huh. Man, that's weird. Profile type? Oh, no. Super ellipse is fine. Grid fill or cutoff. Inner sharp. Outer sharp. Weird. So I don't know what to do. I guess guess I'll just delete this cube. And that's one of the frustrating parts when you're creating, especially when you don't know what you're doing, is knowing when to just cut bait and try again. Because you end up getting kind of invested even in that stupid part that I just invented out of nowhere, right? Like you get invested in it. So Control A, no, Shift A, another cube. Maybe it was because I applied all those modifiers earlier and then turned them off. It didn't know it got something glitched or something. So grab and Y, because we're moving it on the Y axis. Whoa, moving it on the, what is it doing? Moving it on the Y axis. And then S for scale and Y again. So we zoom. So S and Y again to get it thin like a fin. Thin like a fin. And then we'll go over to here and do scale on the Z axis, I guess, to make it thinner. And then scale one more time, this time on the X axis to bring it in like a fin. All right, so without screwing around with it any more than this, we'll go to Tab for Edit and try to attempt to grab this corner, and this corner, do a Control B for bevel, and look at that. All that effort and the frustration and swearing and blaming Nancy Pelosi, and it might not even have been her fault after all. That's messed up, but she takes the blame. So now on this one, we'll just do a different, and now we have what I like to call a side fin. You're welcome. So that took forever, but it took 2 seconds once I abandoned the bullshit one and started again, right? So now I'm going to highlight that thingy in object mode. So I'm going back to object mode. I'm going to highlight this thingy, and I'm going to do what they call copy and paste it. So I'm going to copy and paste it. And now there's a second one there, and I'll be grabbing it and moving it on the Y axis over to the other side of the thing. Now, only in fantasy are these things not going to be attached to the fish. So let's try to attach them to the fish, shall we? So we're going to highlight that one and shift highlight that one and rotate. What happens if I rotate? Oh, look at that. All right, so that didn't work. So we're going to undo that. We're going to highlight one, rotate slightly, highlight the other one. Guess what? Rotate slightly. I guess I could have just grabbed and Y-axis into the fish. Grab and Y-axis. Nope. Grab and then Y-axis into the fish, let's say. And then highlight both and grab and Z-axis down. See what we're doing? See what we're doing. Oh man, let me go back over here. Still got them both selected. Grab and Z to bring them down. And grab and X to bring them back. Dang it. And now they're not in the fish again. That's kind of where they're supposed to be, I think. So now we're going to sit there from the side like this, and we're going to just rotate both of them on the green. And now they should both be going in that direction. And then from that front again, we'll grab and, highlight, grab, and Y-axis it right on into the fish somewhere. I don't know, like that. Highlight, grab, and Y right up into the fish, I guess. Let's see if that got it. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. It's almost like we got fins. So it's getting to look like a fish again. Or sort of, a little bit. Again, I'm trying to box it out so that we get the overall shape first. Let's get us some eyeballs. Fish have eyeballs almost always. So from the side here, we will do an object. So we'll do a Shift A and back to sphere. And I think we only want to give that guy like 12 segments, 16 segments. And we're also going to grab them and move them on the x-axis way forward. Oh, it's a little bit big, so we're going to also scale it down quite a bit. All right, and then we'll grab it on the y-axis ever so slightly over to one side. Okay, and then try to mirror this one again. Let's see if we can mirror it. So we're going to go to modifiers, add a modifier, a mirror modifier. Why won't it show up? I don't understand how this doesn't happen. Mirror object. Oh, do I have to highlight this and go like this? Oh, okay. That's why it didn't work. So I need to call this sphere an eye. And then I will mirror the eye. There we go. Ah, dang it. I don't know how to make that thing mirror. Merge. Anyway, I wanted to mirror on the x-axis and flip on the x-axis. Yeah, I got no idea how to do that. So we're going to just go back to grabbing it on the Z up a little bit, and then grabbing it on the X, and then back. Come on, man. Grab it on the X, and then what's it doing? Come on. All right, now we got to grab it on the Z. Bring it back up to somewhere where it looks like an eyeball on this fish. Oh, snap. It does look like an eyeball right there. So we're going to leave that like that. Fish eyeballs are always sticking out just like that. I'm just going to copy and paste it because it's being like that. And then we're going to grab it on the y-axis and just move it across until it looks, pretty much the same over here, I guess. I don't know if that's the same or not, but looks pretty good, I guess. If anything's wrong, what I like to do is blame Nancy Pelosi. Even though she's not technically in power, it's her fault. All right, so this looks weird. So just while I'm sitting here, I think since I'm in object mode, I'm going to get back to this axis, and I'm going to hit Tab to get into edit mode. I'm going to click on the fin down here. No, the tail, I mean. And I'm going to wireframe it, and I'm going to box select all of this business, and then I'm going to grab and I'm going to move it in a little bit. Down and in. Because it didn't look right being symmetrical, you know what I'm saying? And then since I'm in here, I'm going to get up to fin and maybe box select all that, grab it, and move it on the x-axis backwards a little bit. I don't know if that helped or not, but we'll take a look in regular mode again. So now we have some eyes and a fin and tail and some other fins. I'm going to go down to these. What are we calling these things? Tail and tail. So we're calling these, they're not really ailerons, but that's what I'm going to call them. 1 and aileron 2. And then we're going to, come on, just do what I want and just quit doing what you want. We're going to go to tab again to get to object. Click on that object. Shift and click on that object. Copy, Control C, and then Control Paste. And then go to, you know what? I'm just going to do grab on the Z and move those up. Okay, click, grab, and X to move back a little bit. Fine. And then scale. Yeah, I'm doing it. Scale and down a little bit. Yep. And then grab and Z again to go down just another little bit. Come on, what are you doing to me? Just quit it. What are you doing? I said Z. Oh, you know what? I think it's just being a pain in the ass. So now we'll do grab and Z to go down. There we go. I don't know if that's too much or not, but now it's got two sets of little fins. Not every fish has them, but this fish does. This is a fish that drives around on a lake that has a lot of nuclear runoff and bioelectric happenings. All right, now we got to get a mouth in here. And I figure this is probably going to be one of the toughest parts because I don't know what a mouth on a fish looks like necessarily because I don't go around memorizing stuff like that. So I'm going to box select. I'm going to grab some of these parts that I'm just going to say are, what's going on here? We're going to highlight this. We're going to frame select, and then I'm going to box select. Okay, I see what's happening. 2 points if you know what's happening. I'm in object mode, so all it can do is highlight the object. So I'll hit tab to go to edit mode, obviously. Now I'm going to box select these chunks. Oh, come on. Grab the body again. Put the little box on the body. Finally box select these freaking points. And now I've selected what might be considered to some people mouth parts of a fish. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab them and jam them back on the x-axis a little bit. Oh, I don't know if I like that. Okay, so here's what's happening. I got the proportional editing on, so it's making my fish look goofy. I don't like a goofy looking fish. So first I'm going to bring it to here because now he looks a little bit more like a shark. But now I'm turning off proportional, going back to grab on the x-axis. And now I'm giving that fish what I've been looking for, which is a little bit of a mouth situation. All right, and now, man, I don't know if this is going to work or not. But now I'm going to go square it back up to the Y. And now I'm going to grab just those. I'm going to do this. I'm going to grab just these little bits. Grab on the X and move those in a little bit. All right, let's take a look. Does this look like a fish mouth or does this look goofy? I don't know what fish mouths are supposed to look like. But the problem is this dude's supposed to have his mouth open around a thing. So that's about to get weird. So it's about to get weird, and you're all about to have weird comments. I can't handle this. So it's up to you. I mean, I'm not, in other words, I'm not going to deal with it. Y'all can have your weird comments or whatever. But here we go. So now I'm going to, I think what I'm going to try to do, can I do this? How do I do this? I basically want to ram a hole down his face. And I'm going to start right around here. I'm going to use this dot select here. And, well, first I'm going to see what happens if I just plain old ram it into his face. So here we go. Calm down because I'm about to do it. G, X. And I don't, oh, look, that came out his butt. So let's not cut it that far. This is making it come out his nose. So now we're just going to have it, I don't know if it's showing me where the end is. It's not really. So I'm guessing somewhere there's his butt right in there. Let's take a look at what that looked like. I'm not saying it's going to look good. Oh, it's a square. Interesting. So we just made a square kind of in his nose. How do I make him not show all of this stuff? I have his wireframe turned on, and I don't know how I did that. So where is that? Is that under one of these menus? Oh, I bet you it's this menu. Faces? No. Outline selected. Origins. Edge, face marks. Dang, I don't know how I have it all turned on like this. So I don't think that worked. That looks goofy and weird. So undo that. All right, so now I need to figure out, in the other software, I know how to just ream a hole right into him. I don't know how to ream a hole into this guy, though, is the problem. So I'm going to go back to tab. I'm in object mode again. Just so that everybody can see what it looks like, I'm going to select everything and do a modifier called smooth. And then, no, is it smooth? No, not smooth. I'm going to do the modifier of subdivision surface, modify. And then I'm going to give them a few more layers, and then we'll right click on them and choose shade smooth. And now it'll look a little bit more like a fish than a blocky, goofy thing that it's been looking like. So that's a render thing. That's something where the software uses video graphics card in order to show you a final product versus like an 8-bit version, right? So this is a little bit more what the fish will end up looking like when it's all good to go. I'm going to try, I'm not good at coloring yet, but I'm going to try to give it some color just so that we can start seeing what's going on here. And this was probably a dumb idea to do this much of it. What have we been doing this for an hour without saving? So why don't we save this already? I probably should have saved this almost immediately. So we're going to save it as, I'm going to put it in this folder where I keep a bunch of other things. And where do I even name it at? Oh, down here. I'm going to name it NEA because this was Matt's idea, Fish 2022. And then we'll save that. And then what's cool is next time I save it, Blender will automatically save it as like number 2 and then number 3 and like that. All right, so next I'm going to try to give it some colors. I just haven't played with this a lot, so I'm not good at it. But material, new. Okay, and then, okay, so first we got to look at it. So I guess I need to come over here, open up a new place, and have this one look at it in a rendered view. And this, oh, what did I do? Okay, I don't know I could do that, but I guess I can. So I'm going to bring this over in a, oh, come on. Okay, so going to keep fighting me. This one's going to be in a rendered version over here, and this guy will be in the version that we're playing with. So this first color is going to be, I don't know, greenish looking, green looking, kind of. I don't know what color to make them, not purple. Green, usually fish are kind of a weird green color. Let's make him that color. And then his fin will be a different material. That will be a, let's make it a yellower material. I don't know, orange, blue, brown. How about brown? Like a browner material. And then the back fin can be the same material. So then we'll say material number 2. See how we're doing it? And then these back fins, all of them can be, let's make them a different color altogether, like a gray color. A little bit darker white. Oh, what did it do? It only gave the color to one of them or something? So that's lame. So now we have to highlight that one and give it that same material number. Oh, it's showing me the colors. So there's the color. Go to this one and material number, this one, right? And, oh, it's weird. You have to look at each one separate. Okay, and then this one is that same material. There we go. And then we'll give its eyeballs a different color. What happened? My computer freeze? There we go. So my computer is glitching out already. You got to have a fairly decent computer for this stuff. So what I can do for this is make the roughness very light, and that'll make the eyeballs very smooth looking. And we'll make the eyeballs kind of a little bit bluer looking. And that's hard to wiggle on. And then a little bit lighter. All right, and then the other eyeball can be the same eyeball color. All right, and then what we end up with is a fish that has color and stuff. So I don't know how well you can see it, but this is what it would look like in its rendered version. And I can do things like add patterns like gills and scales and all that kind of stuff. But 1, I don't know how. I know that it can do that. And 2, I don't know that I want to go to all that trouble if no one's going to use this for anything. This is really just an exercise in learning the software and figuring out how to accomplish some things from it. All right, so we've saved it and we've got it in some colors, so at least you can see that it looks kind of like a fish over here. I don't know what's going on with its fin, but again, we're blaming Nancy Pelosi for any errors here. Next, we have to ram a hole in its mouth so it can suck on things or bite on things, however you want to look at it. And that's going to be the tricky part because I don't know necessarily how to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is in this object mode, I'm going to go to this side and I need to go to this side and I'm going to, what am I in object? I'm going to shift A. This time I'm creating a cylinder. All right. So now he's got this weird cylinder that he's living in. So we're going to rotate the cylinder on the, which axis is this? The y-axis? Yes, the y-axis at 90 degrees. And then we want its, no, shoot, I see what happened. So now we want to go back to the cylinder's properties. Oh, I don't know what the cylinder's properties are. So how do I get the properties of the cylinder? Anyway, we'll just scale it. So scale and scale it to like that, I guess. I don't know. We're approximating that. And then we'll scale again, but this time on the x-axis. And that'll give us this situation. So you see where we're going? And there we go. So now we have this thing that exists, and we're going to give that a material color so that we can see it, and that will be a black color. Just plain old black, if that'll do it. Yep, that did it. And then a roughness so that it doesn't look like it looks like anodized or something. And then we'll give this the additional modifier of, what happened? Oh, that wasn't a modifier, that was a property. So then we're given the modifier of, oh no, I don't have to do that. I think I can just say shade smooth. And now, oh, that looks bad. So wait. Yeah, that looks bad. Let's not do that. And then how do I tell this thing to delete this tube? That would be the interesting part. So at this point, you can kind of see in the orange outline where that thing is compared to the fish. So where the receiver extension, in other words, would be compared to the fish. I think what I'm going to do is grab it on the x-axis and just move it forward just a hair. Because, you know, I don't know. There, it's already sticking out of the fish, right? So we don't want it to be, we want some meat in the material. So we're going to put it right there so that it doesn't get really close to any edges or whatever. And then that's effectively what was the job, I think, is to get this fish print. Now, the next thing is, how do I tell this fish to remove this, to make this a convert to, see, there's got to be a way for me to tell it to remove this. Oh, I know, I've seen it happen too. I just don't know what it's called. It's probably in edit mode. So we're going to tab over to edit mode. Spin, edge slice, rip polygons and move. Interesting. Enter. That didn't work, so we're going to undo that. Oh, I see. Back to edit mode. Yeah, I don't know how to make this thing just delete. So dissolve, delete vertices. No, see, then it just disappeared. I needed to remove itself and everything about it from the, I'm going to call this the receiver extension. So that's Matt's idea. Receiver extension with a fish hanging off of it for whatever reason. I think they think that's funny or something. So this is effectively a fish that, somewhere between semi-realistic and cartoon that could be 3D printed, I would suggest putting it on a deal so that the top half and the bottom half, like right in the middle of this cylinder, is the top half and the bottom half, and then that way you could put some holes going through it here and here to hold it together, to screw it back together so that it wouldn't have to be glued or whatever. Or it could just be glued and put back on the receiver extension. All right, so I'm going to put this one about, oh, see, the next thing we need to do just to make it more interesting, since nobody showed up, to join in here, I'm just going to play around a little bit more. So it's on the center axis. We've got a camera over here. So what I'm going to do on this screen is snap under window. I'm going to, under view, I'm going to say, show me the viewpoint of the camera. So that's what the camera is seeing right now. It's on frame 1 of the timeline. So what I'm going to do is move the camera. Okay. What I'm going to do is move the camera. So why isn't it doing that? We're going to go to object mode, I guess, tab, and then highlight the camera. Okay. Then grab, and in this case, I'm just going to move it to somewhere over here, and then I will rotate it from the top. Looking down at the top, I want to rotate it in this direction. So there's the fish, and then come down to this direction. Oh, I just need to grab and move that camera in the Z direction. Okay, so let's try that again. Grab, and in the Z direction, up quite a bit. Okay, so let's say there. So that's fine. And now that's where the camera will start, and we can, on this frame, zoom in a little bit, and that's what the camera will show us. So now over here, we can do a couple of things. First, I'm going to come over to this side, and we're going to make sure everything is in good shape. So we got I'm going to create another collection over here and call it fish. Okay, and then it's going to have the 4 ailerons. It's going to have the body. It's going to have the 2 eyes. It's going to have the fin and the tail. It'll also have the receiver extension. And I'll just, I'll grab all this stuff, minus the light and minus the camera. And I'll take the rest of this stuff. And, oh, it's going to be like that, is it? It's going to be like that. So I'm going to grab all this stuff, minus this, and minus this, and you sons of bitches. So how am I doing this? Okay, so I'm going to grab all of this. So I'm attempting to shift and then unselect the light, unselect the camera, and then drag everything into fish. I don't know why it was fighting me on that, but now everything is under fish and I can get rid of it so there's less clutter over here. And I'll call this camera. So now there's way less clutter, and we just have these 2 collections over here with all these elements in it. Much easier to deal with. In the camera selection section, I'm gonna click Shift A, and I'm gonna insert an empty. How weird is that? An empty thing. Now I'm going to take that empty thing, and obviously I'm going to pull open this little toolbar, and I'm going to go to the empty things Z rotation, and I'm going to put in obviously a number sign, frame, the word frame, and then a /30, and hit enter, obviously. And then when we hit play on the timeline, ooh, nothing happened. So what is happening? Am I on the wrong axis? No. So why isn't it doing anything? Okay, so I must have done something wrong. Hashtag frame 30, enter, hit play. Okay, so it's definitely wrong. frame, and then maybe I didn't get hashtag in there, and then hit enter, and then hit play. Okay, weird. So something's up with this. Let's just hide the fish for now because it's in our way, and we'll hit play again. Yeah, messed up. So I'll try to change that. So we're going to stop it from playing, and now we're going to get out of this rotate mode. We've highlighted it, and that is the rotation. So what am I doing wrong? Hashtag frame equals 30. Enter, enter, and then hit play. Okay, so now I don't remember what is supposed to be here. Frame, it had to be divided by 30. Divided by 60, enter. And it's still not doing it. All right, so we're going to undo and undo and undo and undo and undo and undo and undo. Oh, I see what's happening. And then maybe even undo again and one more time and a fourth time. All right, so now we're back. We're going to hide that fish again. We're going to grab the empty and we're going to hit pause, and the rotation, man, it is the rotation on the Z, so I don't know what's up with that. Rotation on the Z, hashtag frame divided by 30. There we go. I don't know what it's different, but now it's happening, and before it wasn't happening. So chalk it up to I don't know what happened, but now it's working. So now we have, as you click play on the timeline, we've got our little empty over here doing its thing. It's rotating around in a circle. Yay. So now we can take it back to the 0. We can take the, I don't know which way to do this. I think you take the camera, shift empty, highlight over here, click Control P, and keep the object transformation and see what happens. That did not work. So we're going to undo, 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 undo. And now we should still have our rotating deal. We do. This time we're going to hit empty, shift camera, click Control P, keep object transformation. And then, dang it. So not sure what's happening here. We'll highlight the camera and undo a bunch of times. We still got the play feature. So camera, shift, empty. Enter, click, Control P, keep transform. All right, that did not do it. So then undo, 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 undo. All right, and now empty, shift, camera, enter, click, Control P, keep transform, and then click. Dang it. All right, so what am I doing wrong? Am I hitting shift? Yeah, shift, click, and then Control P, and then click this. Okay, that didn't work. So undo, undo, undo. Sometimes you don't have to know exactly what to do. You just have to kind of remember sort of what to do, and then you can just hit alter variations of it until you find it. I'm not finding it though. So undo, 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 undo. Do I still have this? Yes. All right. All right, so I tried camera to empty, Control P, enter, and now boom. Okay, so that was camera to empty. And now we'll go empty to camera over here, Control P, keep transform. And then, there we go. So I think it was because I was clicking on the screen. So it's annoying, but you know, I knew the thing that I needed to do. I just didn't know exactly how to do it. And now we finally got it. So we created an instance of an empty nothing, and then we told that empty nothing turn around in a circle on this axis. And then we said, now take the camera and attach it to that empty nothing and spin it with the orientation of the empty nothing. That sounds like a bunch of nothing, but then when you turn on the fish, dun, 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 now we're looking at the fish spinning around in a circle. So I used a math equation down here and I did 30. And what we're looking at is the camera. Let's just start it where we started. Let's start it at number 1. So the camera is now looking at the butt of the fish. That's not what we want. So we're going to highlight the camera and we're going to grab it and we're going to move it over to here. Oh, you know what? I'm going to grab it in the X so that it can go to here. And then I'm going to go to the top again and I'm going to grab it and no, I'm not. I'm going to rotate it around. There's the fishy again. And I think we're going to move it, grab it a little bit this way. And then we're going to zoom this in and out until we can get the whole fish in there. So now we're going to go to this level, more like this level. Okay, this level. There we go. And we're going to highlight that and we're going to grab and we're going to go up on the Z axis this time. Okay, and then I can rotate this thing down and that'll work. And then we'll just zoom this out a little bit, back to rotate like this. Now let's say play. So we're starting in the front and now we're moving around the side, around the back, and around the other side. And then we're back to the front right around 180. So that makes about sense, right? So we're going to start somewhere around, I don't know, somewhere like there is where we started. So we're going to stop somewhere around like 187. And that means we're going to end it at 187. And now when we hit play, it may look a lot more like an infinite loop, like we're just spinning around that fish infinitely. So this software is fun because we can model in it and then we can paint in it, like in 3 dimensions. This looks really bad because I've barely been using it for a while, but you get the idea. You can make the fish look really good, but then you can also do some animations like this. And if I might not have it 100% right, it might glitch a little bit as it spins. But now all the people that were like, oh, you know what we need? A fish that is on the back of a thing or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Well, now it has a little piece of existence, like some of it exists. All right, so what do I do with this thing that I got now? I need to figure out how to remove this, like how to cut this from it. Convert to, see, there must be something like, remove active object as a, open a, open, that didn't work. I don't know how to do it, but there must be something where this becomes an eraser effectively and makes a cut. As soon as I go find out how to do that, I'll save this thing as just the fish, right? So for now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to save it without the thing in there. So we're going to take that thing, the receiver extension, and we're going to hide it. So now it just looks kind of like a fish. So if we move the timeline over here, where's my thing? So if I move the timeline, now it just looks like a fish. Should I move the camera lower? It'd be neat if I could. I need to learn how to make the camera do like a deal where it comes down and back up again. I just don't know how to do it. Probably could figure it out, but I'm not going to figure it out tonight. So that's the basics of the fish and the basics of what I need to do to make it into a tube holder warmer. But for now, let's save this thing just as a file. So now we've saved it as a Blender file and I can come back and work on it again. In reality, if I was doing this for real and not just playing around, if I knew how to work the software and I was just trying to get the task accomplished, I would have saved it a few times. Some of the major directions in design or like, changes in the flow or something, I'll save it just in case something happens or just in case I want to kind of start over. I don't have to start over. I can start from one of my save points. People that play video games might understand that concept. All right, so now we've got it saved as a file, so I can open this file whenever I want and fiddle with this fish, so to speak. but it's not saved as anything I can do anything with. I want to 3D print this thing. So now how do I 3D print it? So now I'm going to go to File and export it as a STL file. And this STL file, it's going to be called Matt's Fish. That is going to become a 3D file. That's weird. I don't know if it's set to shut down when it's done being used or if it just glitched on me, but that was odd. So the software just closed for some reason. I don't think my computer's that bad, so I think that might be a setting. I don't know. Let's find out. So we're going to open it back up, and when I click that splash screen goes away. I'm going to go to File and Open Recent and go to Matt's Fish. Oh, there we are. But it's not looking at finished mode. Now it is, and now we have the finished fish over there. And since it's an animation, it's on its, it's in its current frame of animation or whatever. So now I can render this, but I can also export it. So I'm also going to render it. So I'm going to go take a look at the render settings. And it is being rendered. Oh, you know what I want? I want to get it a transparent background. So we're going to render it in. I got to remember how to do all this. We're going to render it in 24 frames per second. It's going to be I think it's no, it's not going to be any of these. It's going to, maybe it is going to be an FMPG, whatever. No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be no, it's not going to be any of these. So now I need to go down to metadata. No. Encoding. There we go. Go from Maroska to QuickTime. Now we're talking. Go from HTing whatever to QT animation. Wait, is that the one? Oh, was it MPEG 4? Dang it, now I can't remember. Man, I thought it was QT. Now if I go up here to... Oh man, I can't remember what the heck I did down here. QuickTime, I'm almost positive. And then QT animation, encoding speed, and then audio codec. Nope, that wasn't it. Metadata? What was the other thing I needed to click on? AVI raw? That can't make sense. Nah, so then it had to be this one, and then it was QuickTime, and then it was QT animation. Oh, RGBA, that's what it is. And then I go to here, and then I can go to film, and I can go to transparent. Oh, that took forever. But now the video will be rendered with a transparent background. So I don't have to worry about any kind of weird background happening. But what do we not have in this whole thing? This light doing anything good. So why don't we turn this light into something useful like a sun? Oh, that's way too bright. So we'll keep it as an area light and with 1,000 watts. Okay, fine. So then what we're also going to do is in this view, we're going to do another Shift A, and we're going to create another light, and we'll call this one a area light. And let's see, so we need to grab that one and move it down on the Z axis quite a bit. And then this thing here, oops, we can rotate it up so that it's looking at the fish. I think. Where is it at? There we go. Looking up at the fish. Yeah, so now that's going to be lighting the bottom of that fish up a little bit, except with some actual light. There we go, up to 700 something. So now the bottom of that fish has got some light also. All right, so now we've already rendered it as a, I'm going to save this again. We've already rendered it as a STL file I can print, but now we can render it as a video. So we're going to render as animation. And there it is. It's rendering fairly quickly into a whole bunch of little images, and then it'll string those images together back into a final video or animation. And all that black and white, nothing in the background is nothing. So this can be put as an overlay on top of something, like a layer on top of some other video, and it'll just look like this fish spinning around in space. All right, so now that's rendering. I'm going to open up the 3D, what's it called? The slicer software. So while the one software is rendering an animation, 180 cells of animation over here, and it's about frame 99, so it's like almost halfway done, or it's over halfway done. We'll be opening up the Cura software as well, and this is an indication that my computer is doing okay because it can open up both of these. I have the streaming software going. I have about 1,000 windows open from a project I didn't finish yesterday. That I'm just leaving open. And I still have Brooke Cheney's video that I missed live, but I was watching before we started here. But it is taking my Cura forever to open. So this is taxing my computer. And if my audio is garbled, it's because my software is just wailing on my computer's processors right now. Boolean subtract? Yeah, that's the words, but I don't know how to do it. Do you know how to do it? Tell me how to do it, and I'll do that right now. So I'm going to go backwards through some of these comments. Thanks everybody for showing up. It's not really a workshop because I don't know what I'm doing, but it's a workshop in the sense that hopefully you don't need to know what you're doing, right? You can see that you can just jump in and start fiddling with stuff, and it eventually you'll get a fish to pop out the other end. So Duncan says, because you saved me just in time. I don't know what that is. Because you saved just in time. I don't know what that means. Thanks. I'm going to go the other way. It's weird going backwards through the comments. I have no idea what everybody's saying. Oh, looks like there's a bunch of super chats. Thanks for those. So Roy is the first one to jump in. Said it better not be clickbait. Nope, I don't think so. G23 was second one in. Chiba is third one in. And Bjorn, welcome. Wait, did I get your stuff sent? I don't remember if I got your stuff sent or not. Snob is out there. Woods is out there. Good evening. Chicago Mike, welcome. Let's see. Is that anybody else? Mike White, welcome. Good evening. I don't know if everybody's still out there. This is probably from way earlier, so people may or may not be sticking around. But Jordan is saying, I used Maya 3D. I never did use Maya, but I've heard interesting things about it. Mike is saying we need a smell-o-vision. Like I was saying, once this is all done, if we can get it so that we can cast it out of rubber, you can definitely put smells into rubber. I don't know if you're going to want the smells in the rubber and what smells can be put into rubber, but I know some can. And definitely the stuff that guy was using for bait was super gross. Like it had some horrible stinky smell. All right, so that's frame 187. So now we have a video somewhere on my computer. Let me go try to find it. And essentially I could close this Blender software now. We have the file, we have the fish, and we have the rendered piece. Now, I don't know why we're looking at it here and it's still rendered. Anyway, so whatever. I could close this now and I can open it up at any time. So that's what I'm going to do. Just first, I'm going to make sure I saved it. But it's going to kill this software and it'll kill all its temporary files. So even though I could just leave it running in the background, I'd like to get all my RAM back. So by closing this, ideally I get all my RAM back that was some of my RAM was wasting its time worrying about the undo steps on that software, worrying about where I saved and all the different nuances and stuff. So by closing it, I got rid of all that. So now we're over here and I'm going to be looking for that video. And I got to remember where this thing, oh, I think I know where this thing puts videos. That's not it. It is this one. Yeah. So here's some of the other projects we've worked on. Here's one that says 187. So I'm guessing that's it. And when it opens up, it can't play, of course, because it's a MPEG or whatever. So I'll open up other software. Let's open up Adobe Premiere. That'll take a minute to open up. So now we can go over to the Cura software, the slicer software. I'll make that bigger. And the Cura right now is set up for the Ender 3, the smaller of the two printers. We're going to open up a file, and we're going to find the file that we just made called NEA. Holy moly, got a lot of bayonets in here. It's going to be NEA something or another 2022, I think. So NEA fish. This file could be corrupt or did not contain any models. So I did something wrong on the STL file. So we'll figure out what happened there. I'm just going to open up a new project over here and create and replace. And whenever this opens up, we'll have a new place to place a new file. Wow, this is taking forever. All right, so now I'm going to take the file we just created. I'm going to drop it into Adobe. And in Adobe, we should be able to put it down here. And that means we can preview it up here. It's on a black background right now, but I could put that on top of some video or on top of some different color or whatever. It's just an empty thing spinning around in space. So there's an animation, like a video. So you could, somebody was asking if you could use these for making logos and stuff. Yeah, for sure. You can do some neat stuff with it, animating it right in there too. Okay, so now I guess I closed the software. I need to open up the software. More than likely, I'd saved it wrong, I guess. So let's try to open up Blender again. Let's see, G22 +1. Now I get it. That's what happens when you don't release the shift key. Okay. This is how you edit. Oh, so that was Chicago Mike. Yeah, that's how you can edit a logo. I've tried it a couple of different ways, like taking the image and projecting the image into 3D space. I've taken the image and used it as a reference and then just create a bunch of files behind it, kind of like what we just did with the fish. And then there's a couple of other ways. You take a file as an image and you create like just a thing in space, and then you apply the image to the thing as like a wallpaper or something, and that can work. So there's a couple of different ways to play with it. And of course, I'm just barely getting started. This is massively powerful software, and I'm just months into playing with it, not even really learning it. So Library Garrett had thrown a super chat in earlier. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. And then he threw in a separate one. A bass would have a very stout body for 3D printing. I agree. I just can't think of all the fish in my head as I was doing this. Everybody saying hey, and then Pat threw in $5. Howdy y'all. Thanks for what you do. Keep up the good work. I appreciate that, man, very much. These are all going towards bills. I'm not buying any ammo. I'm not buying any guns or nothing. This is all just going to pay bills, which I'm behind on. So much appreciated. It's nice to take some time off and from doing eBay and other auctions and stuff to do some of this stuff. Duncan is asking if I ever tried Onshape. Nope, the only ones I've used are Fusion 360 for 3D stuff like this. Fusion 360. I've used this Blender now for a couple of months. And then I forget some kind of Adobe animation stuff that's in the Adobe suite. And it was very complicated. It was great, but I don't like learning proprietary stuff like that if I can help it. I don't know if I'll always have that Adobe subscription, if they'll always include it. So Blender as a free one made the choice for me. Now, I don't know about Onshape. If that's free also, then I'll definitely be interested in checking it out, comparing it now that I know something about Blender. So for me, I knew software and I know concepts of how to use software and just techniques and things. But as far as what I needed to have, I did not know until I started to play with 3D images. And once you play with something for a while, you start to realize what you need and what you don't need, the tools that are important and the tools that you don't use. Not that they're not important, it's just the stuff you're using. Like, I'm not trying to create Toy Story, the movie. If I was, I'd need different tools. I think I could still do it in Blender. I would just be using different parts of Blender. So I'm using Blender in a very basic way at this point, and I don't know if I'm going to use it more than that. But it is super powerful, so I am amazed, I guess, every time I find a new tutorial or something that somebody accomplishes with Blender. It's really neat. Okay, tired. I'm late. What are we doing? Kind of explained that before, but thanks for joining us. Let's see. Duncan was saying about making lures. I think that's a good idea. That's what we're making here. I found a bunch of lures ready to print on Thingiverse. Oh, nice. Yeah. And from what it sounds like, you can get stuff from Thingiverse and use it as long as you don't go around selling it as your own. Then most people are okay with you. That's what the whole kind of point is. Most people are okay with you using their stuff, printing their prints, just as long as you're not like going around saying that you invented it, which is, kind of like an interesting song or something. People don't care if you sing the song. They just don't want you going around saying you wrote the song, right? Mike saying, I'm going to get out of here in a few minutes. Have a great night. See some of you tomorrow on Gizzard Gary's live show. Yeah, definitely. So Gizzard does a live format show tomorrow, Sunday mornings. You can listen to or be part of. So thanks, Mike, for joining up. As you can tell, I'm yawning also. Had a long day, I guess. Not necessarily a difficult day, just a long day. But thanks for tuning in, Mike. Chris from 740 is out there. Good evening. I don't know what Roy was saying was amazing, but the software is super neat. And if I knew what I was doing, if you want to go watch some interesting stuff, go type in Blender tutorial or learn how to work Blender. And there's some people that do 1 or 2 minute videos just to explain something or to show you how a tool works. And it's like watching a master sculptor or a master person that can carve, whatever that's called, or somebody that can just do their skill really good and just looking over their shoulder. It's super neat, really neat. So yeah, the software is awesome. Looking at the pair of fins, you might want to consider printing half. This way you have a nice flat printing surface. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to try to show here. I'm going to open up the file again and see if I can't save it better. And if I can, I'll show you what I'm talking about in the, what is it called? In the slicer software. But effectively what we're going to do is this green line that is cutting the fish in half and this red line that's cutting the fish in half, that plane right there is where we would put it on the slicer and then print the top half first and then the bottom half second upside down and then put them together, once they're printed. Because, yeah, this would be almost impossible to print otherwise. Or it would be very expensive to print because it would have to create a lot of support material that would be, maybe even as much plastic as the rest of the part. So that's a whole nother thing. And one of the deals is if you never print, then you design stuff kind of dumb because you're not thinking about printing. And if you print all the time, then you design stuff kind of dumb because you're always thinking about the end process. So keeping that in mind, you want to be aware of what can and will print and then ignore that because you'll also have really bad looking designs. If you make everything for printing, the potential is to have really bad designs. At least I think so. That's something that I'm at least attempting to incorporate. Let's see. Went to Texas, Brazil. That's one of those you just walk around, or they walk around with different meats, and you just tell them to give you more meat all the time. There's one of those in Vegas. Everybody likes. Well, they don't go to it in Vegas. They talk about it, and they go to it other places, I think. Could you take a photo of a fish and import it into this program and modify it that way? Yeah, there's 2 ways to do that. Or at least you could do it in 2 different processes, I guess. You could take the picture, like on this side, I could do a Control or a Shift A, and then down here under image, I could create a reference image. And do I have a fish picture anywhere? I don't think I do. But let's say I was taking a picture of this little puppy, and I could take that image now, which just exists kind of in the middle of that fish for whatever reason, and I could grab the picture and move it back over here, and now, draw right on top of the picture. Now it just looks like that dog is looking at that fish in a real creepy way. Like that dog is going to eat that fish if I'm not paying attention. Good thing I've got my hand on that dog. So, you can do that. You can just use the image as a reference, make it bigger, smaller, move it, whatever. But then another thing is, I don't know how to do it, but I could take this surface and go down to something and then apply like a wallpaper to it, or like apply something to it. I just don't know how to do that yet. I know that it can be done. It has something to do with the surface of it or something, but I just don't know what to do. Is it change it from principal to image? That would be easy. No. So I don't know how to do it, but there is a way to then essentially create a white blob and then apply the image of the fish to it, and then it would look like kind of like a 3D actual fish. But there's some techniques. You kind of got to trim the picture and you paint the picture on type of thing, as opposed to just wallpapering it on, if that makes sense. So that's a whole nother direction, and I'm interested in learning it. It's just that for this particular one, I just wanted to model a fish so that we'd have something in 3D. But yeah, how to get there, there's definitely more than one way. Gunpowder Beauties out there, good evening. Hopefully the house is going good. I'm not sure where you're at in that, but we're all thinking of that and you, and hopefully everything's going good for the family. Let's see, what if I put dead smelly fish on my buffer tube, Matt? So I think that must have been where it came from. I wasn't there for the origin of it, but he described it to me when I jumped in the other day. So that's where this show came from. Somebody had a birthday, so I recommend having birthday weeks. That way we can say happy birthday to you all week long. Your friends can not have to remember a specific date, but most importantly, those jerks on the internet that are trying to use information against us don't know our specific birth dates. So you don't have to, but that's my advice. Just think of a birth week. So happy birth week to everybody whose birth week it is. Void? I don't know what void means. The Boolean subtract is definitely the way to do it. I watched a whole video on a guy that does the Boolean shaping or something, and yeah, that's super neat, super neat. I wish I could explain it better. Let's see. It's not a stock. It's not a brace. Yep, just a dead fish. And if it was rubber, I don't know what would happen, right? I think it'd be neat to see this thing in rubber, though, hanging off of there. Save just in time. I think I did earlier. OnShape is free if you allow your design to be public. Great tool. It's on the SolidWorks level. So in other words, it's like a more basic than this, like the big Lego blocks instead of this little tiny fancy Lego blocks. I may have used it then. I've used 2 of them that Night Strike recommended, and one of them was super basic. Like if you just needed to create a triangle or a square on a 3D printer, it was super fast. Like it's a click. It's like an Instagram version of 3D printing, but it could only do so much stuff, and I didn't feel like learning it forever, and it was too basic. And then the other one was the opposite. It was so complicated, but I could tell there was a lot to it. I just got to use Fusion again, so I went back to Fusion instead of the open source one. So I don't know if that's the one that I may have looked at it then. And then doesn't have the animation. So, and the basic engineering stuff, no big deal. But the animations, I do like. I don't need them because I have some Adobe stuff that I think can work with it. But it's super nice to just, once I learned how to do this. Oh no, why isn't it working? Oh man, my empty is broke. Oh, what's up? Why isn't my thing working? Oh, wait, why isn't my thing working? Oh, because I have this selected off of active camera. Now it's working. But anyway, once I learned how to do this little thing, I was all stoked because that's pretty neat. At least for what I'm trying to do. I mean, there's definitely more I can do with the camera. This is the basicest of things, but it gives a sample of like all-in-one software being able to do this. I dug that. But if you can give me some direction since I'm in here again on that Boolean extract, that'd be awesome. So I have no idea why it didn't extract or it didn't go away. So I'm going to highlight everything this time and then say export as STL, just in case the last time it didn't do that. And now it went to, I'm going to just overwrite the one that was in there. Oh, you know what happened? The last time it deleted as I was saving. Or am I crazy? Maybe that's what happened. So now I'm going to go to Cura and I'm going to attempt to open that same file after all the bayonets. There are bayonets being sold on Tuesday. So if you're interested in bayonets or buying stuff that helps support what we're doing over on How to Gold Auctions on Tuesday, we'll have a bunch. Oh, look at that. It worked this time. So it turns out I made this fish super, 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 super tiny. Very, very tiny. It's tinier than a lure. It's tinier than any minnow you've ever seen. So that might be one of the reasons why it's not super happy about it. Man, it would be cool if I could highlight that part now and delete it. All right, so that did work, but wow, is that tiny. So first, let's see if I can't just make it bigger. Maybe I can. Hey, what do you know? I can. So I don't know how much bigger I made it there, but I made it way too big. So we'll undo that and we'll try again to just make it bigger. All right, so now we've got it bigger and now we can move it again and we'll move it up on the table. Now this won't work because I've got the receiver extension in there, right? That's not gonna, it won't print like that. I mean, I don't want it to print like that. But that gives you an idea. I would print it like this. It's probably about halfway up, something like this. And then whenever, like I would save this file, go ahead and print this, and it could print that pretty easy. Then I would save this as and flip it over. And then drop it back down to wherever it matched what I did the other side of, about halfway through the receiver extension. And then it would print this belly. Now that would give you two options. That would give you an option to print the top half in like green and the bottom half in white, which is kind of neat. But it also gives you that flat surface to print from. So if we were to print this, and if this was the right size, just out of curiosity, let's make it, that's exactly what we would want. It's going to take about 2 hours to print, 50 minutes on this side, and I'm guessing 50 minutes, maybe a little bit more on the other side. So there you go. That's essentially the gist of it. So we're going to new project this because we don't really want this piece. Sure you want to start a new project or else I wouldn't have said so. Computer, don't double guess me. And then over here, we're going to find the receiver extension. And well, we turned it off. So why did it print with it? So if I highlight this, it's not printing the receiver extension. And then I'll export it as STL. And then this time we'll add one increment to it. And now it's saving it as 2023. So we'll export STL. I guess it's done. So now we're going to go over to the slicer again. And this time we'll bring in that new one that we created. Drop down to wherever NEA is. Somewhere down here. NEA Fish 2003. And it still has the receiver extension in its mouth. So I guess I need to go in and like physically delete the receiver extension in order for it to print without it. But I need to really go in and figure out how to highlight the receiver extension and then delete it and cut it from the rest of the software or the rest of the thing. But for now, I really can't spend more than 2 hours on something like this. It's great to be able to play with the software. I'm glad I was able to do something that furthers a project from somebody out there, friend, and somebody, people that are doing stuff with two-way awareness and frustration on the whole garbage that's happening with these things that are going on right now. But there you go. I should probably make this guy gold, right? Let's just go ahead and change this to gold already. Why won't he just be gold? Okay, there. Gold and a little bit lighter. Okay, now he's a little goldfish. Anyway, so yeah, right on. So if that worked, if that gave you something, then hopefully if you're using some Blender, give me some tips that you'd find out too. And Onshape is much easier than Fusion. Problem is I've used AutoCAD in the day, back in the olden days, not a lot, but enough to know that what it was. And then when Fusion came along, it's very similar. So it wasn't a brand new learning curve for me, but at the same time, yeah, there's so much in Fusion that I'm not using, and they really would rather you pay for it. They're just letting you use it, but it is for sale. So if there's a free version, I'm not really too. It wouldn't be hard to talk me into just learning into the free version. At this point, though, I can steal a couple hours here and there every couple of weeks, so I'm not learning this stuff really fast. But projects like this allow me to improve the skills so that I can maybe put a shingle out there to do this kind of projects for people. If anybody's interested in getting something fairly basic done, then that's what I do. Fairly basic stuff in 3D, and hopefully it's not something that's so super secret, so I can go live like this and fiddle with it, learn live in front of everybody. Would be better off with a whole bunch of software techs and people that can do creative stuff in the gun realm than depending on people with a bunch of money to just pay creative people who don't know what guns are. So if you're interested in being a creative person and you're in the gun realm, I believe you're 100% necessary, or it's a great way to go. But don't take my word for it. Let me know if you have different opinions of that, or if you've got any other tips or tricks for other software or this Blender stuff. Keep making it look like this fish is swimming around. I'm just wiggling the mouse. I'm not doing anything fancy here. It just makes it look like this fish is kind of swimming, although fish hardly ever swim backwards like that. But as long as I keep spinning it this way, it looks like he's just a bored fish in a little tiny fishbowl, and now he's dead. Sorry, he died. Oh, no, he's alive. He was just kidding. Now he's swimming again. All right, well, thanks again. And everybody can tell Matt he's stood me up, wanted me to do this, got me to make a fish for him with a big thing in its mouth. I think this is a scam, some kind of scam to get me to spend a day working on a dead fish. So there you go, a little fish swimming around in 3 dimensions. It's neat because I get to look at it on another screen. It almost looks like a fish tank, like a digital version of a fish tank. All right, I'm done. Thanks for watching and listening, and definitely thanks for the super chats. I mean, I really appreciate that. Much appreciated. Boom, Library Garrett and Pat in a Bunker.
Tonight's episode, Triangle of Terror.
Hey, did you know that you could help support our future projects and let everyone know you're a fan of what we do? Check out our print-on-demand store. We have a tab here on YouTube. When you click on it, you can choose from a bunch of different items. We have shirts and posters and coffee mugs. Click on the one you like. When you find the design you want to put on it, choose a color and a size if it's appropriate. And when you purchase these items, a portion goes to help fund our future projects. We really do appreciate your support. You get some cool stuff. When you get that stuff, post pictures here and on other platforms, and we'll hook you up next time you order from our Gear website store. Thank you for your support of gunwebsites.com.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
So let us know what you think. We'll be watching the comments wherever you find the video, over on gunstreamer.com or on guntube.org. Thank you for supporting our projects. If you'd like to buy us a cup of coffee, check out our Patreon channel.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourages you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thank you for watching gunwebsites.com.